Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Today's video is part of a video hop to celebrate It's Me JD hitting 50,000 subscribers. We are celebrating with some rainbow themed cards today, and also you can check out a giveaway over on the It's Me JD YouTube channel. For my card, I'm going to be using the Big Birthday Greetings stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. I picked out one of the large sentiments from that stamp set and I put it in my Misti Tool, and I'm stamping it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink onto a piece of Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, which I've cut to be 3.5 by 8.5. I did end up stamping that a few times so that I could have really nice solid letters. I took that panel of paper and I taped it down onto my craft mat, and then I took out the abstract triangle stencil from Simon Says Stamp, and I taped that so just the top portion of the panel of paper is covered by it. I'm going to be going over that stencil with some texture paste. This is Ranger Transparent Gloss Texture Paste, and I'm going to be dyeing this texture paste using some Distress Oxide inks. Now, because this is a transparent texture paste, you can ink blend on your paper with the Distress Oxide ink and then go over the top of it with the texture paste, and you'll be able to see through that texture paste to the color. It gives a very similar look to what I'm doing now. The only difference is the blend between the colors is slightly different. With this, you get more of a rough blend between them, and that's kind of what I was looking for with this, and that's why I decided to dye my texture paste and then go over the paper instead of ink blending on the paper and then going over it with the texture paste. In order to dye the texture paste, all you have to do is take your ink pad and smush it onto the craft mat, and then you take some of that texture paste with a palette knife and mix it together with the ink. For that first color that I was mixing together, I was using the color Spun Sugar, but I found that that was a little bit too light, so I added in some worn lipstick, and I liked that color much better. The second color that I mixed together was Festive Berries, and the third one was Abandoned Coral. Next, I took a few pieces of Post-it tape and I masked off the paper right underneath the stencil so that I don't get any texture paste on that area accidentally. As you can see, I mixed together a fourth color. That fourth color is Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink, and then I started to add each of these colors to the top of my panel. As I spread across this texture paste, I try to spread it nice and flat and even, kind of like you're spreading peanut butter onto some bread. And you want to take this nice and slow. If you go too fast and you're not really careful, you could lift up some of those edges and get texture paste underneath them, and then you won't have a nice clean edge to your stencil look. Once I finished adding all of that texture paste to the top of the panel, I carefully removed the stencil and washed it off, and then I added the stencil to the bottom of my panel and I mixed up some new colors. The colors that I'm using for the bottom of the panel are Abandoned Coral, Wild Honey, Squeezed Lemonade, Twisted Citron, Salty Ocean, and Tumbled Glass. I used two of the same colors that I used on the top portion of the panel on the bottom here, and that's because I want the top and the bottom to look like they really go together, and that this bottom portion of the panel is just kind of continuing on that pattern of color. Using a craft mat for your texture paste projects is a really good idea because not only does it protect your surface, but it's usually pretty easy to clean. But you do want to clean it right away when you're done with your project, and you don't want to let any of that texture paste dry to the mat because that makes it really difficult to clean. So literally as soon as I'm done adding this texture paste, I very carefully took the stencil off and I washed it off in warm water and some soap, and then I washed off my craft mat and my palette knife. I then set aside the panel for about an hour so that that texture paste could dry completely. I added some foam tape to the back of that panel, and then I adhered it onto a 9x4 card base. I created my card base out of Bristol Smooth paper, and that's just because I don't have any other paper that's large enough for this size card base. I always like to add a little bit of sparkle to my cards, so I added some Moonshine Sequins from Simon Says Stamp, and I just added a few at the top and a few at the bottom, and I glued those down using Gina K Designs Connect glue. And with that, this card is actually all done. And here's a closer look at that finished card. You can see that really glossy background and that beautiful stencil design. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design. Don't forget to check out the next video on the hop and check out the giveaway over on It's Me JD's YouTube channel. I have links for those down in the description, as well as links for everything that I used to make this card. If this is your first time on my channel and you enjoyed watching today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I do new card videos every single week, and I'll be back with another one really soon. Again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day today.